Hi everybody, welcome to another render demo video on how to draw. Today we're going to be drawing an M in 3D so it looks like it's coming off your page just as you see in this video, in this image. What we're going to need to start off is a piece of white paper. I have some pencils, some graphite pencils, some scissors and a ruler. And also might want to grab an eraser because we're going to be erasing some lines. So what we want to do is we're going to draw an M, but we're going to have it curved up to the right of our page. I'm going to use the top edge of the page as the top edge of the M. So what I want to start off by doing is draw a box that has a curve up to this area here. So I'm going to draw like a rectangular shape. So I'm going to come down like this. If you have any French curves, you could use those just to keep all your lines the same. If you have a straight edge, you can grab that too. That'll be helpful. And so I'm pressing pretty lightly with my pencil. I don't want to draw too dark because I'm going to want to erase some of these lines. So I'm going to do this like that, and then somewhere around here, something like that, we're gonna do another hook. So we want to try to match a similar kind of hook. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is at the bottom of the page, there's going to be three, the shape of an M has three bottom areas. So we're going to find the center of this line from here to here. So roughly we can mark out where the center is from there. If you want to measure and be exact, that you can also do that. So again, you have your curve here. Let's try to match a similar curve there. So this is the center. So I'm going to draw three equal lines from this center down there. So this is going to be the bottom of our M. Okay, something like that. And then at the top, we're going to do two lines, so we're going to have, actually draw a line at the top here because we're going to have perspective here as well. So let's draw a line here right now. So this will be the center here. So from here, we're going to draw a line that's larger than this, about a third of the way. So it's going to be three equal spaces here. So we'll draw one, something like that. Okay, so you want to try to draw about three equal spaces. If you're off, it's okay. This is, not exact. All right, so this is the top of our M. So then what we're going to do is we're going to follow this curve, and we're going to draw a curve upwards. Again, I'm drawing pretty lightly. I'm going to do another curve on this side here. So that's the two sides of our M. From over here, since this is the center of our M, right? I want to draw from here, come to about, if you look at the length here from the top to the bottom, about a third from the top, somewhere about here. So if you put a mark there to there. So this one here, this point here is going to come down to here. So you can draw a curve like that. And then this curve here will be similar to this curve here. Coming to about there. And then this point here will come to that point like that. And this one will come all the way over there. All right, now to draw the perspective, over here at the top, we're going to go in this direction, we're going to go to the left. And we're going to draw all of these angles similar in a similar direction, like that. And then at the bottom, we're going to draw the perspective down to the left. And if you want to get your ruler out so you're exact, you can do that. Grab a ruler. So about the same thickness that you have here, we're going to match that at the base. Like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this line here, and from this point I'm going to connect it to that point. I'm going to try to do the same exact curve like that, and then I'll just do the same at the top here. So this edge here, or this corner, we're going to try to draw the same thickness following this curve here like that. And then we'll do the same here. So we'll have this curve here. We will extend this upward. And the last one is this one here. We'll follow this curve. Just like that. So there you go. We have our curved M. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a little bit like a HB. That was an H. I'm going to take my HB and I'm just going to darken these a little bit. So I'll speed this up so you guys can watch, but I'm just going to go ahead and just darken all my lines, all right? Okay, there you have it. I'm going to go now and erase. So I'm just going to get rid of some of the lines that we don't want anymore. All right, so now that we have our M, we've kind of erased a bunch of lines. We're going to use a charcoal pencil here to create some of the shading. So I'm just going to kind of rough this in. And it looks a little scratchy, but that's okay. If you want to check out some of our drawing basics, you could check out our How to Draw book. I'm going to post at the bottom of the page here. You can kind of see the link if you want to take a look at it. It's great for beginners that are interested in learning how to draw. Has some techniques on shading, things like that. Great for anyone that's just getting into this. All right. After I have my charcoal down, I could take like a cotton material. These are these Webril wipes, and we're going to use this and lightly rub on the page. Now don't worry if you go over some areas. That's natural, it's going to happen. But you'll smudge that and you'll create some nice shading effect. And again, I like to start off kind of light and then build up my shading. So it's always easier to add than it is to take away. So right up here, because this surface is coming up and our light source is coming from the top left, you're going to get a little bit of a darker shadow at this top area as this curves and hooks up, because it's the surface that's furthest away from the light source. It's on the back side, so no light is coming in this area, so you're going to get a darker value. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit more shading here, down below. I'm going in this direction because this is my surface is kind of in this direction here, and so it'll be better of an effect. You could kind of go in this direction, but and remember, try not to use your palm over top of your sketch. You know, if you're left-handed, you could do this as well. You have to be a little bit more careful, but try not to rub your palm because that'll create unintentional smudges. You'll have to kind of go in there and clean that up. All right, so just gonna keep shading in here. And I'm going to put a little bit darker at the base here just to get that to kind of pop off a little bit more. Okay, then I'm going to hit some of these edges here. We can actually use some of the residue that made its way off of the charcoal onto the Webril wipe. You can actually use that to get some shading, some soft shading in there. Sometimes you can use an X-Acto knife, and if you have any chalk, you can just kind of scratch that chalk off into a little pile on the side and use this and kind of rub that in, and then take what's left over on your cotton Webril wipe and apply it in a softer way. You can kind of see as I'm applying it directly using the pencil itself, it gets a little bit scratchy. So if you want to really blend this in, it takes a little bit more effort to do so. So I'm just going to kind of go in and just hit a little bit more of this top edge, just to really get that to kind of pop, just that edge to kind of pop and contrast against the hot, you know, the lighter spot there. Okay, now for my shadow, what I want to do is I want to create the shadow. So if the light's coming in this direction, I want to just create a shadow a little bit off to this side here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to take my pencil again. So I'm just using an H pencil, and I'm going to kind of rough in where that shadow is going to happen. Now, because my object and my shape is curved in this direction, I'm going to get kind of a slight curve over to the left side of the page. So we're going to take this point here. So this point here is contacting the ground, so it's not going to have as much of a shadow because it's closest to the piece, to the paper that for our effect. But as this lifts off of the page, there's going to be a lot more shadow in this area. So we want that to look like it's lifting. So we're going to create more shadow here. So we're going to almost do like an opposing curve in this direction like this. So the same for this, in that direction, like that. And then since this is off of the page, that shadow is going to kind of come down and be right about here. And one note just before we keep going, we're going to probably cut off a good portion of this off. So your shadow is probably going to be somewhere around here like this. Something like that, somewhere around here. We're going to want to create that shadow. Just going to kind of hook this a little bit more, like that. A little bit more of a hook. There we go. Just like that. So then I'm going to take my charcoal and get a nice, rich shadow effect right here. So this I'm going to apply a lot more pressure to get more of the charcoal to come off of the pencil itself. Just like that. And we're going to do soft shadows, so the edge isn't going to be a hard, crisp, defined line. We're going to have a little bit more of a softer shadow applied here. So when we use the cotton Webril wipe, that'll smooth it out and then kind of soften the edge a bit. You know, if you want to do a hard edge, that's totally fine. Depends on what you're looking to do. So notice I'm kind of anchoring my palm on the page here, but then keeping the rest of my fingers lifted up. So if this is the table, I'm pressing here and you can see this part is kind of lifted off, and I'm kind of drawing like that. So I'm not rubbing my hand on the page itself. Turn the page if you need to, at whatever angle. You know, your hand arcs in a specific direction. So if you turn the page so that you can get that curve to happen naturally, that's your best bet. To go in this direction, it's a lot harder. Your hand doesn't pivot and rotate in that way naturally. So a little bit more skill required to do that. Okay, starting to shape up, it's looking pretty good. So the last part, just gonna get this area here. And the type of paper really does matter. If you're using like a photocopy paper just from like a regular photocopy machine, like at your school or office, that's not gonna work as well. It's going to be a little bit too smooth. So you want something that has a little bit more grittiness to it. It kind of pulls and is a little bit more porous and kind of grabs the charcoal, especially if you're using charcoals and stuff. This paper's not the best for markers. I don't want to use marker paper for that, but if you're using, you know, pencil techniques, things like that, this paper works really good. Something that's a little bit more porousy. Okay, so now I got my deep, rich shadows, lots of charcoal here on the page. I'm gonna make sure that I got a little bit more of edge here, so I can really pop this off the page. Just kind of rounding under here. Just a little bit. That's really gonna kind of make this pop. Okay, so I blew that off just a little bit. And then I'm going to go in and try to get the point of the piece here, of this cotton piece. If I use the whole flat edge, it's going to smudge all over the place. I'm going to try to be really precise with where I smudge this so I don't go inside of my M too much, because I don't want to have to go and erase too much. If you need a fold to get more of a tighter corner, that kind of helps. So charcoal does get kind of messy, guys, so just be careful how you smudge. Keep, doing what you need to do. Get a little pointy in there. Okay, now if you want to go, you can, use your eraser tool. If you want to pick up any highlighted areas or edges. You can erase some unwanted over shading. All right, there we go. So we have our letter M drawn in. I'm just going to finish erasing a couple more spots here. Crisp up this top edge. A little more. All right. And I'm going to erase some of this over shading that happened here. Just like that. You can also use, some of the loose end to kind of wipe away. Try not to press too hard. They make brushes with hairy brushes that you can use to kind of wipe away your eraser shavings. But if you don't have one of those, you can use that. All right, the next step is we're gonna want to make this look like it's coming off the page. Right now it doesn't look like it's coming off the page because we have, it's on the entire sheet of paper. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut off a little section here and a little section from the top. So what I'll do is take my ruler and you notice the reason why I had the shadow down lower is because we're gonna pull some of the top edge of this paper off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick somewhere about here. Okay, and I'm just going to draw a line, not through the M, but all there. So this area here will be cut out. We're going to keep the M, of course. And we're going to go over here. This area here will get cut out. And then right over here, where this line kind of comes, we can continue that over because this is going to get cut out as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this edge of the page here. I'm going to draw a parallel line over right to here, and then we're going to cut this area off here. Now, if you have a straight edge like I do here and an X-Acto knife, I don't have one right now, but I'm going to go ahead and use a pair of scissors. So if you do have an X-Acto, you just have to, it's a little bit cleaner of a cut. You can use the straight edge, which is nice. But here we're just going to go and cut this like that, and we're going to end right there. I'm going to clip the perspective part of that M. And we're going to go here and curve this. Okay. And then I'm going to curve here, follow this edge here all the way to my line. And I'll do the same over here. I'll cut this piece, and I'll come down like that to that line. And then over here, we'll just chop this line off like that. And then we'll do the same here. Follow this edge all the way to our M. And then we'll cut this portion off, just like that. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut a little bit more off of here because this isn't looking exactly the way I want it to look. So I'm going to take my pencil and just draw in take a little bit more off of that edge. Okay, that looks a little better. All right, so that's our M in a curved manner with a shadow that's coming off our light source kind of from the top in this direction here, creating a shadow. So I hope you liked our video. Please subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. See you next time.